How's it going, guys? Today I'm going to teach you how to hardwire your dash cam. The dash cam that I'm using is the G1W, so it's a capacitive edition. This also comes in the battery edition. You'll also get a suction cup to mount your dash cam on the window, and also a typical 12 volt to 5 volt cigarette lighter to mini USB to power it on. Instead of this, we are actually going to use this guy. Now you can probably buy this online. It's pretty much the same thing. The other end is a mini USB, and then the other end would just be a positive negative wire that taps into your 12 volt in your car. Alright, let's get started. Alright, so the first thing to do is to actually test your dash cam, make sure it actually works. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug the cigarette lighter, then I'm going to hook it up. Man, this is long. Okay, just like that. Then I'm going to turn on the ignition to accessories, and it should turn on. There we go. So it's working. It's flashing red. Okay, turbo timer. Okay, and it turns off. So we know that our dash cam works. So time for the install. Alright, so first I'm gonna actually mount this on to see where I want to put it on the windshield. Alright. So that looks like a good spot. So this thing is actually a transformer. What it does, it converts, well, it says right here 24 volts to 12 volts DC into 5 volt DC, and max current that runs through this is rated as 1 amperes. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna actually tap this in to the fuse box in the car. This is a Subaru Impreza GC8, and the fuse box in this car is just down here. Just yank this off. As you can see, there are lots of fuses here, and on the back of this will tell you how much, well, I guess the fuse ratings right here. So right here 15 amps would mean that there'd be a 15 amp fuse right here. We're actually going to tap it in one of these, but you should probably not use it in the ignition and the SRS, which is the airbags. What else? The rest of this is Japanese, I can't even read this. But let's get started. Alright, just gonna put that there. Next, you need an auto ranging multimeter. This is really helpful. Oh, random zip tie. So black goes to ground. What we want to measure would be voltage, so red goes to voltage. So I'm going to go ahead and plug my key in. It's probably going to beep. So what we want to do is tap it into a accessory fuse. So when we turn this once, I turn the key once, my radio goes on. You know, we can listen to music. Some people like to tap it in when the car is actually on, but I am going to just tap it in when I turn the key once, just so then, like, when it's in parking mode, I want my dash cam to be on right away. Alright, so I'm gonna grab my multimeter, turn it to the DC voltage position, and it should show 0 voltage. Next, you need to make sure that your key is only turned once to the accessory position. So there you go, my radio is on, it works. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start touching each fuse to see where the accessory fuse is. Alright, so I'm gonna grab my black probe, touch a bare metal surface, which is my door pin, hinge, I guess. And then I'm gonna touch these fuses. There should be 2 pins on each fuse, so you just touch each one until you see a 11 to 12 volt reading. Alright, so there we go. There's a 12 volt right there. Oops. So this guy right here. So right here, we can see that it's this guy. It's in Japanese, so I can't read it. But it turns on when the accessory position of the key is on, so it should be good. Now let's double check. Alright, now we see 12 volt. Now we can keep testing a bunch of them to see if there's any other ones. Then there's another one. Alright, now I'm actually going to show you a second way. If you don't have a multimeter, it's actually a second way to test for a, I guess, voltage when the key is turned to the accessory position. This is called a test light, or I guess a circuit tester. So what this does is it's pretty much the same thing as a not exactly the same, but it will light up when it detects a current. So what you do is you take one end and you ground it, and then you can just test each fuse. Oh, so this one lights up again. Lights up. Alright, so I think I'm gonna use this one. Now you need a inline dual tap fuse holder. Basically this taps into the fuse box. It does not affect your fuse box in any way. All we're doing is we're adding an extra circuit. So what we want to do first is we want to remove the original fuse that we were going to use, which is this guy. And make sure that the original fuse goes in the bottom position, like that. And then the fuse that we're going to use for a dash cam, I believe it says 1 amp maximum, and I'm pretty sure this has a fuse inside of it, but I think the cigarette lighter, it usually has a 2.5 amp fuse in it. I know I'm using the wrong one, 10 amps, but it's recommended that you use a 2.5 or 2 amp fuse. Alright, so there you go. So that goes in right there, but I'm not gonna put it just yet. Grab your hardwire transformer. Before I tap this into the fuse box, I want to make sure that this is the correct length. So I'm gonna put this away for now, and then I'm gonna route this wire along the roof liner. Make sure it's nice and stealthy. Alright. First I'm gonna start pushing it up against the roof liner. Just work my way through. Now this is the tricky part. So I'm gonna grab a popsicle stick. Shove it. Sorry guys, I forgot to explain about the ground part of the cable. So you have the red end that goes into the fuse box, and then you have this black wire. Now this black wire, you have to tap it into a ground surface. Usually any bolts, nuts that you find around your, I guess under your dash or steering wheel will be a ground surface. And since I've already done work on under here, I know that this is ground because this wire goes into a ring terminal, which is connected directly to this bolt. But I'm actually just going to show you guys how to determine that. So first we were able to determine which fuse turns on, or I guess lights this test light on. So basically we're doing the opposite thing. So you want to touch the one end of the probe, you want to touch the fuse that you know turns on, and then the other end you want to test different metals. See how like it turns on? See, a painted surface will not turn on, but this bolt, it's a ground, so it'll turn on. Oh, surprisingly these guys don't turn on. So once you're able to find the ground, all you do is tap the black wire to it. Now you can use a ring terminal, and then you would unbolt this, put it in, and then bolt it back together. But since I already have this existing ground wire, I'm just gonna tap it in or splice it in. Alright, so I'm gonna take the black wire, I'm gonna cut it, make it look pretty. So it looks like this. Then I'm gonna put this ground wire through like that. I'm gonna fold this over, then I'm grab pliers and crimp it. So now it's in. Now I'm gonna pull it to make sure it's tight, and it looks pretty tight. And that's it. Okay, now for the power wire, we're gonna grab our fuse. Again, snip it. Just like that. So I have some bare wire. And insert it. Then grab my crimper. If you don't like using these types of connectors, you can always cut this end and solder it together, heat shrink it, or electrical tape it. We're just gonna go ahead and plug it in and make sure that, again, the original fuse has to be in the bottom, and your new fuse, which was a 2 to 5 amp fuse, at the top. There, it's in. Now let's test it, make sure it works. Alright, accessories on, radio's on, dash cam's on. So there we go, we've done it. What's left is to clean this up, make it look pretty. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bunch this up and put some zip ties. I also apologize for the rat's nest over here. I do plan to clean it up one day. Make sure your wires do not get pinched when you put the cover back on. The last step is to turn on the dash cam to make sure it works. So we're going to turn the key to accessory position, and hopefully the radio will boot on and the dash cam will boot on as well. Alright, so it's booted on. It's flashing red circle. That means we successfully hardwired our dash cam to the car. If you've gone this far, good job. And hopefully this video was helpful to a lot of you guys. If you have any questions, leave in the comments below. I'll try my best to answer them. And be sure to subscribe to my channel. I'll be making lots of how-to videos in the future. And anything pretty much car related. Work hard, stay humble guys. Peace out.